We are at the end of Q2, and if you're interested how many time I spend in each language this quarter, then stay tuned. So today is the 9th of July, so I'm back from Japan and have all the data for the second quarter, and we're going through it. So first, like always, we have my focus language. And the focus language didn't change at all. Well, in quarter two, there was my little experiment with Tokipona, so Tokipona took the second place, kind of. And for the third and fourth, I still plan Japanese with a slight transition to Spanish in the third quarter, and in quarter four, Spanish. And yeah, then we're continuing with Japanese. And for Japanese, I had 4 goals. Well, kind of 4 goals. The first goal was 150 hours of listening this year. We're at 76 hours and 20 minutes of listening for quarter one and two. So I'm slightly behind, but I'm not too worried about that because we still have half a year and we have 1 quarter still where Japanese is still kind of priority one. Not really. Half a month. Anyway, I'm not too worried about that. Then we have 250 hours of study time. We're now at 111 and 50 minutes. That's also kind of fine. I'm also not too worried about that because I'm still planning to read, that's the third goal, the 2 books in Japanese, and I still haven't read one of them, and I'm still reading kind of articles only, so I'm hoping to get to these 2 books in the next 2 quarters, and so I think the study time will also get a good chunk of the reading. And then we come to the fourth goal, and the fourth goal is actually after this quarter completed because it was I wanted to speak with natives when we're going to Japan, and I did do this actually. I tried to speak with them. Sometimes I backed out. It was like they were talking in English and I was like, no way I'm going to answer in Japanese. So I backed kind of out. It was kind of scary, so it's I'm not that good in Japanese yet to be like speaking fluently or comfortably like I do in English or German. So it was kind of scary, but we did that, so there is a big check behind that. And yeah, so 1 goal accomplished. And then we continue with the Spanish goals. We also had a goal for listening here, and it was also 150 hours. We're very slacking in this goal, so we're at 26 hours and a quarter. That's very much less than I planned. But anyway, I hope for the third and fourth quarter to at least get a little bit more listening together because Spanish is going to be more of a focus in the third and fourth quarter. So I hope I get a little bit more in there, and I hope to achieve at least 100 hours. So maybe I'm going to change that, but right now I'm still taking the 150. Then we have also a timed goal for study time, and that was 200 hours of study time, and we're at 38 and 50 minutes. And also that's also quite lower than I expected. But like with the listening, we still have the third and fourth quarter, and also the third goal in Spanish is also a reading goal, and I'm also haven't started that yet. So 2 books, not yet. So also big chunk of the 200 hours are going to be the 2 books, because I'm very slow in reading in Spanish and Japanese. Well, it's only natural if you're not that comfortable yet that you're reading a lot slower. But anyway, we continue with the English goals, and we have the read 4 books, and I read 2. Well, I read 1 and I started 2. So I finished 1 book, and I can't remember the name right now. It was a book. I have it on my 1 second. It was a book about language learning, so I like this kind of books, and it's more specific. It was a book about translators and how they approach learning languages and how they translate it, because it's a lot more different to the normal conversation if you have to translate it for another person in real time, and even if you have a script beforehand and so I find it kind of interesting. And the 2 half books are one is the Ross book. I still haven't finished it, maybe because I didn't continue to read it at that speed that I started. And the second one was, what was the second book I started? Oh, uh, it's also a book about kind of language learning, or language, how one learns language, or more in the book it's more about if language is really a skill we can learn, or if language is an instinct. So the book's name is Language Instinct, if I remember correctly. And I kind of find it interesting, but also kind of totally different. So, and there are a lot of things that I'm like, I don't notice, not a lot, but some words that I'm like, I don't notice words. So it's still a little bit to learn. And then the second goal in English is study each month. I actually did complete that again. So now we're 8 months out of 8. And the third goal, no, there is no third goal in English. In German, there was 3 goals. In German, the first goal is to read 10 books. We are at 3 1/4. And the first 2 I mentioned in the Q1 update. And the third book was a book about ETFs and investment. And the half-read book is about, it's about the languages of the world. So there is something like where did the how did the English develop? How is the kind of how do I describe it? How is the connection between different languages? When did the first person try to make them teachable or find the connections between them, and so on. It's kind of a historical book about languages, so it's a little bit complicated. But and also again, I'm like half the time I'm like, not half the time, but sometimes I'm like, I don't know these words, and German is my native language, so. But anyway, that's the half book because I read it on the flight to Japan and back, and also while we were in Japan, I sometimes read it if I had the time. And I'm not finished yet, so yeah, I'm still. It's a thick book, and it's like I said, it's more like historical, so it's a little bit more complicated to read, and I need a little bit more time. But well, we are reading that. Then the second goal in German is read each and every day. I totally didn't do that. I I like I think it was like 30% or so. So not daily. That's I'm not even every other day. So no. I read a little bit more um in June. In May, not really. And in April, nothing in German. Well, maybe a few pages, but the most I read in April was not German. But yes, so then we have the third, and the third is study each month. I did achieve that for the second quarter, and I'm still kind of have 1 month off because I missed January, so well, but that's also going well. And then we have for the final score, for the final time, the total time, we had 112 hours in quarter one, and we have 212 hours and 50 minutes for quarter two. So it's not really that big of a difference. It's like 12 hours less. So that's totally fine. And we have 200 hours. So anyway, that was all. And you can click here on the screen to see more about my language learning.